Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to Breaking Bricks. I'm your host, Neil. This is week 11 of my Sith Temple on Malacore build. You know, we've gotten a lot of work done. We've got a lot more to do. Not as much as you would think, but, you know, we can't move on to the third deck until we complete that second deck. So this week we're going to focus more on the second deck, including the panel work that needs to be done. Try to get in some more detail work because we just don't know how it's going to really go, you know, trying to make this look like the temple in the episode. On top of that, give it its own unique feel to it, and add my own style to it as well. But, you know, let's talk about the smart brick real quick. You know, I'm kind of curious about that myself. You know, honestly, I think it's going to be a miss in the Lego community. It's not something that I really need or really want, to be honest with you. It is intriguing. If I had small kids, it might help with their imagination to be a little more active with the bricks. But ultimately, I use these bricks to unplug. So to use smart bricks in them is not something I'm really looking forward to. And it's something I just don't think I need. So I'm going to pass on the smart brick sets. On top of that, you know, the sets are getting smaller. So they're not even worth buying just for the pieces at this point. You know, I'm going to focus more on bulk this year rather than sets, just simply because I need the pieces to create these large builds that I want to do. So without further ado, let's just get to work on this week's build. All right, my friends, you know, we're going to continue on this week. We're going to continue on with the second deck. We just got this little bit to finish on, but more importantly, we've got a lot of panel work we're going to get done first. So we're going to focus on some of the decorating parts because there's just so much that needs to be detailed yet that we've kind of just been working on the major outline of it. And it's coming along quite nicely, but let's start to shade in those corners and get that detail work done, and that way we can start to see how this thing's going to pop off. And I do look forward to smoking the hell out of these conventions with this thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just get to work. All right, so right here we are working on the center section that I'm going to install some LED lights in. Now I don't have many red, so I've got a trick I'm going to use white with. And rather than trying to really beam it red, I want to make it more of an orange color when I get into it here. Not to mention we need to finish this panel work up over here so we can hide all these other things in here. Now right here I'm using a old school trick. Now the LED lights are facing towards the aluminum foil. And the reason being is because then it rather gives it a bright spotted light rather than just a couple of dots. As you can see, they really start to stick out there that way. Don't use that trick too often, but it is nice to have that in your toolbox. Alright, so we got to get some of this tile work done in here. Just to start kind of filling it in real quick. Scatter it about. And of course some of the detail work on the paneling. Ultimately, by the time I'm done with this build, I'd have probably reworked some of this detail on this paneling quite a bit. But right now I kind of need it to work just enough where I can use it as a visual. Kind of make sure everything's lining up right here. And I'm always using kind of just odds and ends on the inside that you don't see. All that green and white, tan, you're just not going to see that in the end. Just goes to show the amount of bricks you put into something to make it strong. As you can see, you gotta make it fit in there just right. I want these corners to line up just right because they're kind of like leaning in a way. Gravity just kind of holds them in place, as you see. Alright, much like the front of it, I've got a bracer piece that's going to go in here and lock it all down. And much like the front, it'll just come off. I can lift the panel out, take it apart, put it all back together, and this is what's going to sink it in place. This single piece I'm working on right here. At least for the back side. The one in the front does for the front. I probably overdo it sometimes for strength, but I want it to be strong. This needs to go places. I want to move it. I don't want it to fall apart on me halfway through the process. My God, am I going to use a lot of tile on this. Once again, you know, this can get a bit monotonous when you're working on something so large. And now we're back over to the final side over here, and we really only need to get these two pieces of panel finished and that center piece there with the LED light so it all works right. If I got to take it apart and rework it, that won't be a problem. Because sometimes, no matter how much you try, sometimes you always seem off by one stud. But it is really starting to come together now. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like done. All right, my friends, we have taken it as far as we're going to take it this week. We have managed to get quite a bit done here. Really, it's starting to pop and look good, and I'm kind of happy with it so far. You know, there for a minute, I was kind of wondering what the hell I was going to do. You know, I had a bit of an issue with lighting in these side panels, but I figured that out as well and figured out how to magnify them. One of my little secrets, probably the one and only time I'm going to show you that, is in this video. But let's go ahead and take an up-close look at what we got done. All right, there's the panel work. And yes, you saw me put aluminum foil behind those. And when I get to the other side, I'll show you why. All right, so we got some paneling work done. This one has started to be decorated. This one is just together and sitting. And we started working on the back here as well, which is beautiful. And then we got our edge lines in here where they connect. You can see how this is going together here. So when I do the third section, it's just going to sit on top of that. I mean, so far, I think it's looking good. Now here, you can see how I started putting a red line around it. Now, I'm thinking about running that red line all the way around the outer edge as well, if I've got enough tile. I've got to really take a look at what I've got. And over here, we still got this side to finish, but we got that panel done and that panel in place. And so, yeah, we got to finish decorating all that stuff. But this panel here, I'm just going to slide it forward. You can see the aluminum foil in there, and you can see the LED lights. They are shining onto the aluminum foil. This way they stay in place. But this way, they reflect, much like that LED beam on your ceiling, kind of like those, which reflect light and make it brighter than what the light bulb actually gives. Well, my friends, if you like what you saw here today, go ahead and hit that like button. It lets me know I did a good job, and it suggests this kind of content that anybody out there that might be into it. Of course, if you got a good idea for a build, maybe you want to just talk Lego or whatever, go ahead and put that down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And of course, we cannot grow here as a family unless you hit that subscribe button. It takes you a mere half second, but for me, it really does mean an awful lot. And I'll see you here next time on Breaking Bricks.